Okay, so let us very quickly go through the sutras that we have already seen and then move forward. Atha yoganushasanam. Now the discipline of yoga begins. That is how Patanjali starts. Then the next sutra is, what is the second sutra? The very famous sutra, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is a state of chitta where all the chitta vrittis, the repeated patterns of thoughts and images that keep coming on the mind, is stopped for a while. And very next sutra, what does Patanjali say? When that stoppage takes place, what happens? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. The observer by default goes back into his own real nature. It means if we are able to reach a state of chitta vritti nirodha, where our mind is in a state of complete stoppage of these vrittis, then naturally we will know who we are. It means Patanjali says that currently we do not know who we are. Our Swarupa Avastha is not there. Why it is not there? Because Patanjali says that Vritti Sarupya Mitratra. This is the default software there, which if Vritti are there, and if the Drishta is not aware, then Drishta by default becomes one with Vrittis. Whatever thought or images that comes in the mind, you identify yourself with that. So Lao Tzu, a famous Chinese philosopher, says, be still and know who you are. Correct? But that stillness will only come when Chitta Vritti Nirodha has happened. That Nirodha, if it doesn't happen, then you are one with the Vrittis. Now, what do you mean by the Vrittis? Patanjali says, there are different kind of thoughts, images, words that keep coming onto my mental surface. Whatever that comes onto my mental surface, can I systematically categorize it or classify it into different categories? The content of the mind, can it be categorized into different domains? So Patanjali did that. His own mind was his laboratory, and he identified that they belong to 5 categories. And in each category, they can either create distress in you or take you away from the path of yoga, or they can be neutral. So, any thought or any image that comes into your mind, any sound that you play in your mind, it belongs to either of these 5 categories. What is the first category here? Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritaya. These are the 5 categories. Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, and Smriti. Any thought in my mind, any image in my mind is belonging to either of these 5. Okay. So, what is the Patanjali's mode of classification? What is he choosing here? He is choosing on whether the content of the mind, in its very fundamental nature, is in which direction it is oriented. Okay. So, if it is oriented towards a real object, if the content of the mind is oriented towards a real object and is reflecting what actually is as it is, then it is known as pramana. Correct? If the content of the mind is oriented towards a real object, but is not reflecting exactly what it is. There is an object, but I understand it the way it is not. Correct? We all know US is there. All of us have an image about US. Some people exactly know as US is. Correct? Then they are in pramana. Some people have a different image of US, and when they go to US, they realize US is not the way I thought. Then you were in viparyaya. Now, in pramana also, Patanjali classifies it as 3 ways. One is you go to US and then see how US is. That is pratyaksha. Correct? I have understood the US by perceiving it the way it is. Then that content of my mind of seeing things as they are and realizing the truth is pramana. There is another way of seeing the thing as they are. By understanding what is going on in the US, commercialization, tariffs, everything is money oriented. You make an image that US is a capitalist kind of a country, everything is driven by money. Now, this is your anumana based on the words of the leader, the president of US, how he talks, how he deals, how everything is a business. So, you make an anumana about US, but that anumana also is not wrong. It is also right as it is. Correct? So, then that will also come under the category of pramana. Other is a very authentic textbook, a very authentic book by an authentic writer. He has written about US. Now, as you read about US, you are making an image of US. Correct? But it is exactly as US is. Then that is known as agama. But that is also belonging to which vritti? Pramana only, because through all the three senses, the content that I am getting in my mind is actually directed towards reality. In that sense, if what is written in the scriptures, if it is true, then all what is written in the scriptures, even if you have not perceived it, but you are contemplating on it, then you are in pramana vritti. Correct? So please do not get confused between the agama, pramana and vikalpa. Vikalpa is an imagination which has no touch with reality. Agama is an imagination of the reality based on authentic information, and that imagination is as good as the reality itself. Anumana is indirect prediction of reality, which is correct. So they are, all three are pramana. Viparyaya is, you have an object, there is a definite object, there is a place called US, and I have an impression about it in my mind, but that is wrong. Then that is known as the content of the mind oriented in this way is known as viparyaya content. Okay. Third is, there is another content in the mind where there are thoughts, images, words, but they are not directed towards any real object. It is an arbitrary object. Okay. Such content of the mind is known as vikalpa. And then nidra is a content of the mind or a state of the mind where you are knowing that you do not know. See, this is also a content of the mind, no, where you come to a state of the mind where you realize that you don't know. Now, don't know is a reality in your perception. Correct? Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi nidra. It means the mind is in such a state where it is just aware of not knowing, but it doesn't know. That is also a vritti. And smriti, anubhuta vishaya asampramosha. Whatever the person has heard or experienced or seen before, it repeats, it comes back again as it is. The phenomena, the way it has happened, it is real phenomena that has happened. It is coming onto the mental surface as it is. Because this doesn't belong to pramana also, because it is not directed towards a real object. That object is gone now. It was in the past. But it is not vikalpa also, because it is not completely imaginary. It has really happened. And it is not viparyaya also, because it is not a false conception. It is a real conception. But the object is not there now. It was there in the past. So therefore, this goes into another category known as smriti. So very intelligent arrangement of all the contents of the mind. Pratyaksha anuman agamaha. Everything directed towards a real object. I perceive it. I indirectly perceive it through authentic information, or someone who has really seen it authentically tells me whatever content that I get. So it is written in Bhagavad Gita that Om iti ekaksharam Brahma. Om is the one akshara symbolization of Brahma. Correct? Tell me, this particular word that is written in Bhagavad Gita generates an image of Om in you, that it represents Brahma, generates a feel within you. Which category would it go to? Which vritti it is? Which pramana? Agama pramana. Because it is written in an authentic text, and even to deny that it is false, you have to perceive it first. No, you have to go there, you have to see it. So if you go and rise to that level and realize that Om is Brahma, then you have moved from Agama to Pramana, Pratyaksha Vritti. But everywhere the Vritti was directed towards a real object. Whereas Viparyayo Mithya Jnanam, for the same Om, I get this information within my own mind that Om, is, if I chant Om, okay, I am going to um, uh, get converted into a religion, correct? And that will distance me from my own religion. This concept can come, many people come, they don't want to chant Om. Now, that particular vritti in their mind about the image of Om, about the sound of Om, they have their own vrittis. That is coming from their own religious background, whatever notion that they have had. Now, is that a reality? No. So there, what has happened is a jnana, a knowledge or a information which is there, has distorted the perception of the thing as it is and generated its own feeling and images about the object. Om object is there. So it is directed towards the object. But what I know about the object, in reality, it is not as it is. And I will not be aware of Viparyaya till the Viparyaya is gone. When Viparyaya becomes Pramana, then only you become aware that I was in Viparyaya. Correct? No? When the delusion goes away, when you come back in reality, then only you become aware that it was a delusion. So this is the another way. Viparyayo mithya jnanam. Object, it is directed towards an object. Pramana is also directed towards a real object. Viparya is also directed towards a real object. But pramana is information in the content of the mind which is there, is matching the object as it is. Whereas in Viparya, the content in the mind is not matching the object. Then in the state of Vikalpa, there is lot of content in the mind. But when you try to map it onto any object, there is no such object. The content on the mind is not able to map to any object because there is no such object. Correct? For example, what can you say? For example, I say that there is a country known as Philistan, where people live like that. People are very short in height, 4 feet people are there. All the people are 4 feet. There is no such gender, male, female. There is only unigender. Now, this is a country, immediately my mind brings that country. Now, it is Shabda Jnana Anupati. To small children, we tell stories. So, but when you search in reality, there is no such object. You can't map that information anywhere in the universe. That is known as Vikalpa. Then, see Patanjali, how intelligent he is. He also observed that there is also a content in the mind where you just know that you don't know. Abhava pratyaya alambana means the pratyaya, the content that is there, There is abhava. Is the content is of abhava. Content is not of any positive information. The content is of lacking the information. You understand? No? I suddenly ask you a term. No? So tell me, what is the meaning of apraxia? Those who know, they will know. Those who don't know, apraxia. You have to tell me its meaning. This happens in Viva, no? Teacher asked many words for which we have abhava pratyaya. Huh? What do we answer? Sir, don't. I am hearing this for the first time, sir. So you have only given me a word, but my content in my mind for that word is wideness. So nidra is not sleep. Abhava pratyaya alambana. Abhava is also a content of the mind, and that only when gets extended. Mata amata bhavati. Mother is no more a mother. All information that you have is becomes void. In extended phase, that not knowing phase only gets extended when you get into sleep. Because when a person goes into sleep and he wakes up, whatever that he doesn't know, he doesn't know. No, but when he goes into samadhi and wakes up, he wakes up as a wise man. He gets transformed. So therefore, please understand that very intelligently Patanjali is catching this particular state of the mind of not knowing things. Because not knowing, you cannot put it as pramana, viparyaya, because you are truthful that you don't know. You are not putting a false projection. And not knowing is also not a imagination, it is a real object, it is not vikalpa also. But not knowing is not in direction to a real object also. So he brings in the component of nidra, that is abhava pratyaya alambana. A content of the mind where you become aware of not knowing. You understand? So pratyaya is the content, and the content is abhava, of not having anything, voidness. And then anubhuta vishaya asampramosha smritihi. That is, see, another thing here in this sutra, Patanjali repeats the word vritti. See, Patanjali doesn't repeat any word without, he is very miser and very scientific. Every sutra is like an equation. If Patanjali uses the word vritti again here, there must be some reason behind it. He could have said abhava pratyaya alambana nidra. Correct? Why vritti nidra? Because during that time when sutras were written, there was another philosophy of thought or school of thought that was going, which was not putting nidra as a vritti. It were recognizing only four vrittis. Only the wakeful state only was categorized under vritti. But Patanjali then said, no. If you are telling yoga chitta vritti nirodha, then nidra has to be counted as a vritti. This feeling of wideness, Buddhism also gives that this shunyata within you, this wideness within you, this nothingness within you is anatma, and that is the ultimate. That there is a school of thought that goes with that also. Patanjali puts that as vritti. Patanjali puts yoga as a positive state that you will realize it is not a state of absence or nothingness. There is something. So he puts that nothingness into a vritti and emphasizes by adding the word vritti again in this sutra. And then smriti, which we already discussed. So I have two questions for you now. You can see these are the panchavrittis. These are the panchavrittis. Can anybody tell me? All of us are aware of content in our minds. Day in, day out, mind is putting some or the other content, voluntarily or involuntarily. Like breath, this also is governed by both voluntary and involuntary. If you catch hold of your breath, you can regulate it. You leave it, it takes automatic mode. In the same way, this projection of mind, content in the mind, if you catch hold of it, yes, you have control. You, whatever you want to project, it will come. If you leave it, it has its own automatic way of functioning, and both of them are connected. Chale vate, chale chittam, nischale, nischalam bhave. So breath and these contents in the mind, they follow the same pattern. If you hold, you have control. If you lose, they have their own automated way of functioning. Correct? So the point here, the question that I want to ask you is, number one, is there anything in the content of your mind which doesn't belong to any of these categories? Has anybody experienced any other content of the mind which doesn't belong to any of these categories in terms of thought or images that you experience? Huh? Apart from vrittis. What is that? No, I am talking about the content in the mind. Vrittis are content in the mind. Has anybody experienced any other content in the mind that doesn't belong to these categories? Okay, now tell me, he's saying dream. Swapna belongs to which vritti? Garima madam. No, sleep was emptiness, voidness, not knowing. In dream, definitely something is going on. No, it doesn't, fulfill the criteria of definition. Abhava pratyaya alambana. Becoming aware of voidness within me is nidra. That is not being fulfilled by the swapna. Madam, you tell me, where would you put swapna? In which vritti? Nidra is voidness. Depends. Swapna is not void, right? It is something very active. Depends on the content of the dream. Super. All the five vrittis that you can experience in wakeful, you can experience in dream also. In dream also there can be pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, everything. So, no. The dream is any vritti is possible as in wakeful state. In dream you can sleep also. You meditate then in that stillness, not of the. No, what is the content of the mind when you meditate? Content. No, content is abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. Voidness is nidra. His definition is there, you are in voidness. Or aware of that. Patanjali doesn't say about aware or non-aware in the definition. Patanjali says abhava kaivalya. When there is samyoga abhava, there is kaivalya. That is very different. Don't lose, means you are going into agama pramana vritti. What I am trying to tell you is the content that you observe in your mind. Have you ever felt any content on your mental surface that doesn't belong to any of these categories? Shreyas? Yes. This awareness itself is first step on the path of yoga. So these are vrittis. Swapna has all the vrittis. Now the second question that I have is, why this particular sequence does Patanjali write it in? Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smriti. Why not smriti, nidra, vikalpa, pramana, viparyaya? Sequence also matters. What is happening in the sequence? Sattva to rajas, rajas to tamas. That is one understanding. Because you are more in touch with reality in pramana and viparyaya. You are completely losing touch with reality in vikalpa, where you are becoming more creative, and that is rajas. And in nidra, voidness, or just going in the past, you are in tamas. So sattva, rajas, and tamas, three domains are there. Another point is that smriti is one vritti which is not created by its own. Smriti is reflection of other vrittis. Means smriti does not have independent origin of its own. Before smriti, other vrittis would have happened, then only smriti can come. So smriti is secondary vritti. Okay? So that's why it comes last. Because you are imagining, your mental speed is so much, thinking process, creativity is such that you are losing touch with reality in that speed. So you are in U mode. In A, you are more in, see, being touch with reality is a sattvic guna. In tamo guna, also you can lose touch with reality, but tamas is also characterized by inertia. That inertia is more in nidra and smriti. So it is somewhere between the tamas and sattva. So when those two mix, in the between, rajas only will come. This is the logic.
But when you are using the word reality, what does that mean? Like, it can be subjective or
No, reality means the content in my mind is directed towards a real phenomena or object in the world. अयोध्या, मैंने बोला आपको, अयोध्या राम मंदिर है, बराबर? अब आप वहां गए नहीं हो, ठीक है ना? पर अयोध्या राम मंदिर एक रियलिटी है, आपने प्रत्यक्ष तो नहीं किया, तो आप उसको विकल्पा बोलोगे क्या? नहीं, क्योंकि वो रियल में है वो ऑब्जेक्ट, बराबर? अब मैं आपको बोलूंगा अयोध्या राम मंदिर में कृष्ण की का मंदिर बना हुआ है, बराबर? अब क्या हो गया? अयोध्या राम मंदिर तो सही है, लेकिन फिर कृष्ण का मंदिर बोलने से विपर्यय डोमेन आ गया वहां पे, क्योंकि वो कृष्ण का मंदिर नहीं है, वो राम का मंदिर है। कंटेंट जो माइंड में होता है। तीसरा पॉइंट ये बोल दिया कि भाई जो अयोध्या है वो भारत के बाहर है। अब भारत के बाहर कोई अयोध्या है ही नहीं, तो ये विकल्पा में चले गए आप, क्योंकि अयोध्या भारत के बाहर है ही नहीं, भारत के बाहर कोई अयोध्या है ही नहीं, आप ढूंढ लो। पर आपको, आपके माइंड में क्रिएटिवली, इन योर थिंकिंग यू हैव गॉन टच विथ रियलिटी, छूट गया।
Yeah, here they say, but out of Bharat nahi.
but sir, that is also
It is not. Acha, you are saying that it is an
Big-
mithya projection on the location of Ayodhya. Yeah, I think that is more viparyaya only. If I talk of a temple which doesn't even exist anywhere, you are correct. अयोध्या की जगह पे मुझे कोई ऐसा नाम बोलना पड़ेगा, पयोध्या। पयोध्या क्या है? पयोध्या, पयोध्या है ही नहीं, तो वो उस तरीके का बात हो गया विकल्पा। उसमें रियल ऑब्जेक्ट होता ही नहीं है, बेस में जाओ तो कुछ है ही नहीं, है ना? तो शी इज करेक्ट, दैट आउटसाइड, अयोध्या इज आउटसाइड वाज ए विपर्यया, पयोध्या इज विकल्पा।
that is also based on time. Maybe future it can come. Like if you can think, like suppose आगे जाके this is
अभी का रियलिटी,
okay based on time.
प्रेजेंट रियलिटी। फ्यूचर में तो यार फिर तो कुछ भी रॉन्ग नहीं है, क्योंकि कुछ भी हो सकता है, ऐसा नहीं है। ऐसा फ्यूचर में तो आधा डायनासोर आधा आदमी भी खड़ा हो जाएगा, आ सकता है फ्यूचर में, तो कुछ भी रॉन्ग नहीं है फिर तो, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। अभी का जो रियलिटी है वो, ठीक है? ओके। So I hope everybody is now clear about vrittis. Let us move ahead. Sorry, I went too far ahead. Okay, next. Patanjali says, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam tan nirodha. The very intriguing thing that should come to your mind is, when Patanjali says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, what is the content of the mind that he is talking about, which is yoga? I have not explained. All of us agreed that all the content in our mind that we got so far belong to one or the other vrittis. At the most, they can be very sattvic vrittis, pramana. But Patanjali is telling Yoga is one state where there is chitta vritti nirodha. None of these vrittis are there. All these vrittis have stopped. What is that content? What kind of content is that? Most of us will go in Vikalpa to answer this question. Or Viparya. So Patanjali says, if you want to know, I will give you a path. You reach, do pratyaksha. There is another, but there is another state, content, really experienceable content is there. Another dimension of existence is there, which Patanjali is inviting us to get into. For that, Patanjali says, for that, you have to do two things. If you want to know what yoga is and go beyond these vrittis, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Now, why Abhyasa and Vairagya? See, one thing that you will realize is that all these vrittis by default have one thing in common. What is that? They have been categorized into different aspects, contents of the mind. But there is one common thread in all the vrittis. What is that?
Mind.
Purusha will also be projected on Chitta. No, one common thread among all the vrittis. Yes, who told? Beautiful answer. Huh? Vrittis are all about what has been perceived through the senses. Whatever your senses have perceived, or your eyes have seen, or your ears have heard. Eyes have seen, ears have heard. Only that only is getting permutation, combination, whatever you call it as creative thinking, is also in a way churning of the same old information. Entirely new information doesn't come up. It is new way of combining the old information. Correct? So information that has come to me has always come by seeing or listening. Correct? In the whole content that you see, apart from Nidra where there is voidness. Correct? Apart from that, all other vrittis fundamentally reflect the images of what you have seen and sounds of what you have heard. Is there anything else?
Cold water. I'm not saying or I'm not that was a technique, but basically.
No. As soon as, see, you have to understand one thing. It is about the content of the mind, what is reflected on the chitta, that vritti is. So as soon as you touch the cold water, image of cold water comes in front of your eyes. What I am touching, image comes. Experiencing that coldness is different. We are talking about the images that you see in your mind. I am saying that all the images that you see or all the sounds that you hear are what you have perceived through your senses. Sometimes we get dreams where we don't know the person. We have never been to that place. We go there also. But Patanjali says that in past janma you have visited. Your senses have perceived it sometime in the past. So this is one common phenomena in all the vrittis. They are driven by what has been captured by the senses. Huh?
then dream cannot be vikalpa.
No, dream has all the vrittis, no?
But you told that that is perceived may not be in this janma, but in previous janma. So it is
So it may not be vikalpa. It may not be vikalpa. It may have, it may be smriti because it has happened before. Currently, it doesn't exist. Okay. So all of you are with me. We are addressing the question how Abhyasa and Vairagya help in causing Chitta Vritti Nirodha. For that, we are understanding that one common thread among the vrittis is that all the vrittis are about what I have perceived through the senses. Correct? That's why Patanjali is putting the Vairagya component here. How he defines Vairagya? Drashta, Anushravik, Vashikara Sangya. So, Vaitrishnasya, whatever you have heard or whatever you have seen, you develop dispassion towards that. So, if you have dispassion towards what you have heard and what you have seen, then your chitta's tendency to keep putting those vrittis reduces. The more attachment you have towards what you have seen, what you have heard, the more passionately and frequently chitta repeats those vrittis in your mind. So, Vairagya is to be able to show dispassion or detachment towards what you have heard or seen. That is number one. What is Abhyasa? Because these both of them are necessary according to Patanjali to bring Chitta Vritti Nirodh. So Patanjali says, Tatra sthitau yatno abhyasah. Yatno means effort, continuous effort. You are not able to reach there, but you are trying to reach there. That is known as yatna. Tatro means there, sthito means establish. Again and again, repeated efforts to establish yourself there. Where? Swarupa. Because he says, Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. When chitta vritti nirodh will happen, what will happen? You will establish in your own self. So that is the goal. Correct? So Patanjali says that repeated effort to reach the goal is known as abhyas. See, I have never seen where is how is Antarctica. Correct? But goal of my life is to reach Antarctica. That is my goal. I want to reach there. So what I am doing? I am doing abhyasa. In my abhyasa, what I am doing? Whatever information I have about Antarctica, I contemplate on it. Correct? In whatever way I contemplate or imagine Antarctica, if I imagine myself that I am going there. I even keep repeating the name Antarctica, 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 because somewhere with the name, the form of Antarctica also will reveal to me. That is my intention. With that intention, I am chanting Antarctica, Antarctica. I am reading about Antarctica. Whoever is talking about Antarctica, I am listening very attentively. Whatever that I can do in my own capacity, in my own information, to reach Antarctica, I am doing. That is all abhyasa. Now, this all that I am doing may have lot of imaginary component. Correct? I may repeat aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi, aham. In Islam also they Allah, what do they say? Al-Haq. I am that. Do they say like that? Something like that? Alhamdulillah. What is that? That name they chant, but there is Alhamdulillah means what? Whatever God has given. And there is one more word, Al-Haq or Haq. Oh, so that is Vikalpa. Okay, fine. So what I am saying is that every religion has derived its own way of doing abhyasa. but the goal is the same, fellow. The goal is Swarupa. You call it Allah and denote by the name Amin or Om or Amen, whatever you are doing. Some prophets, sages, monks, they perceived it. They reached that state of yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Then, when people ask them, how did you reach? People ask them, how did you reach? Though everybody has a unique path, but then the way they reached, the way they saw, they started telling. So that abhyasa prescribed by each one who reached led to one religion. Tatra sthito yatno abhyasa. Here, one very important point that Patanjali brings in is that for the abhyasa, one very important thing is what? For you to do abhyasa, what is the first and foremost thing that is needed? Shraddha. Shraddha. Patanjali puts next in the sutras will come Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Pradnya Purvak, Samadhi, Pradnya. So Shraddha is the first one. What do Shraddha? What do you mean by Shraddha? When I put a very sincere effort to reach the destination which I don't know anything about. That is known as Shraddha, no? आप जिसके बारे में आपको कुछ पता ही नहीं, फिर भी आप जाने के लिए एकदम सिंसियर पूरे तरीके से उस पर डेडिकेशन लगा के आप कर रहे हो, यार नहीं, पतंजलि ने बोला है तो है, मुझे अनुभव में नहीं आ रहा है, मेरे एक्सपीरियंस में, इट इज नॉट इन माय एक्सपीरियंस, बट इफ पतंजलि हैज सेड that there is a state like this, there is. And if he says that if I do abhyasa to reach that, I can reach there. और उसके लिए जिसके बारे में उसको पता भी नहीं है, पूरी लाइफ की बाजी लगा देता है, गैम्बलिंग कर देता है, हिमालय में निकल जाता है, सारी दुनिया जिसके पीछे भाग रही है उसको छोड़ के वो अकेला श्रद्धावानम लभते ज्ञानम, वो श्रद्धा के बिना नहीं अभ्यास, बिना श्रद्धा के अभ्यास हो सकता, क्योंकि जो दिख रहा है उसके लिए करना तो ऑब्वियस है, एवरीबडी विल डू, भाई यूपीएससी क्लियर करना है, यूपीएससी दिख रहा है, यूपीएससी के बाद आईएएस ऑफिसर का पोस्ट दिख रहा है, सोसाइटी में नेम फेम सैलरी सब कुछ दिख रहा है, तो वो सुबह 4 बजे उठ के अलार्म लगा के उठ के बैठ के पढ़ता है, रात के 12 बजे तक पढ़ता है, 4 बजे फिर उठता है, दिन में 20 घंटा बैठ के पढ़ता रहता है, बराबर, क्योंकि उसको यूपीएससी दिख रहा है, उसको उसके सेंसेस को सब समझ में आ रहा है। अब ये भाई है अभ्यास के लिए सुबह 4 बजे उठता है और नाम जप करता है, जिसका नाम जप रहा है उसका स्वरूप उसको पता नहीं, पूरा लाइफ उसमें लगा दिया, दुनिया पागल बोलती है, पर वो लगा है। अब ये तो श्रद्धा से ही पॉसिबल है। मुझे नहीं लगता यूपीएससी क्रैक करने में कोई श्रद्धा नहीं है, सीधा सीधा रजस है वो, ठीक है ना, आपने कर दिया क्रैक, आपको चाहिए था आपने कर दिया, और उसके बाद में आपके अहंकार की पुष्टि भी हो गई, ये श्रद्धा है यार, जिसका किसी को पता नहीं, मुझे पता नहीं, पर पतंजलि ने बोला इसलिए मैंने लाइफ झोंक दी अपनी। ये इसको हम मानते हैं भाई, ये है कुछ डेयरिंग का काम, बड़ा दमदार काम, नहीं तो अलग अलग लेवल पे तो सभी सरवाइव करने के लिए स्ट्रगल तो कर ही रहे हैं। फॉर क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ यू स्ट्रगल्ड, फाइन, इट्स नॉट ए बिग डील फॉर मी, या बट द बिग डील इज कि इवन फॉर ए क्रैकिंग एन एग्जाम of certain level we put so much hard work, but here Patanjali says that you will reach a state where the whole universe is going to reveal its secrets to you. You are going to get such siddhis, such powers that you can change the whole universe फॉर दैट हाउ मच आर वी रेडी टू कमिट? हाउ मेनी आवर्स पर डे? एक एंट्रेंस के लिए 20 घंटा देते हो आप, बराबर? जो एकदम डेडिकेटेड है, उसको आईएएस बनना ही है, 20 घंटा पड़ता है। तो फॉर दैट पतंजलि सेज दैट देर आर डिफरेंट लेवल्स ऑफ दैट साधना। यू कैन बी मृदु, मध्य और तीव्र संवेदना। तीव्र संवेदना वाले होते हैं तो वो तोड़ताड़ तैयारी करके फोड़ पाड़ एंट्रांस इसी लाइफ में सारे कर्माशय का आग लगा के जला के निकल जाते। वो होते तीव्र संवेदना वाले साधक होते, पूरा फोड़ देता है वो। आया ह्यूमन लाइफ मिल गया, बस एकदम क्लियर है, बहुत जन्म हो गए इधर उधर ये वो, अब इस बार नहीं छोड़ूंगा, इस बार तो निशाने पे तीर, इधर उधर होना ही नहीं है अब तो। हमारे उपनिषद बोलते हैं ओम का एरो लेकर के अनुसंधान करो आत्म तत्व के ऊपर, इधर उधर नहीं। अर्जुन की तरह सिर्फ चिड़िया की आंख दिखती है उसको। आत्म अनुसंधानम, बस, ओनली वन। हम्म सो ऐसा अभ्यास। चलो एक तो श्रद्धा है, भाई श्रद्धा है, पतंजलि ने बोला है रिस्क लेने को तैयार हूं, मिलेगा जो मिलेगा देखेंगे, लेकिन चलने के लिए तैयार हूं, तो श्रद्धा। फिर श्रद्धा के बाद जो दूसरी चीज आपको लगती है वो है वीर्य। वीर्य का मतलब है कि वो अभ्यास आपने चालू तो कर दिया। कितने दिन भाई? सर ने आज बोल दिया एकदम गर्मा गर्मी में सुबह 4 बजे उठ के बैठे, किया जप वप किया, प्राणायाम किया, फिर उसके अगले दिन ठंड लगी, या फिर प्राणायाम करने के बाद ही वापस जाके सो गए, है ना? तो दैट अभ्यास हाउ इट हैज टू बी डन? स तू दीर्घकाल, सी बी मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड। ओके, फर्स्ट थिंग इज आपने गोल तो डिसाइड कर लिया, गोल डिसाइडेड, नाउ यू आर जंपिंग टुवर्ड द गोल। अब आप उसकी तरफ जाने के अलग अलग प्रयास कर रहे हो। उन प्रयासों को कैसे करना पड़ेगा? पहला तो आपका प्रयास रिफाइंड होना चाहिए। एक गुरु जो वहां पहुंच चुका है, उसने आपको रास्ता बताना चाहिए। आपको एक रियलाइज मास्टर से डायरेक्शन मिलने चाहिए, या फिर ऑथेंटिक टेक्स्ट। ऑथेंटिक टेक्स्ट है जो, जिसको आप बिल्कुल आगम के तरह ले सकते हो। आपने, या तो आपको ऐसे गुरु नहीं मिले तो आप टेक्स्ट का शेल्टर लो और प्रे करो कि ऐसे गुरु मिले, और यू स्टार्ट मूविंग टुवर्ड्स दैट, एंड यू रीच a point where you are doing sadhana, but then with that sadhana again and again question comes, what is happening? Am I moving in the right direction? कहीं ये तो नहीं हो रहा, मेरी लाइफ वेस्ट तो नहीं हो रही, सब दोस्त एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, मजे कर रहे हैं, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? कहीं ये सब ऐसा तो नहीं कि मैं कुछ डिल्यूजन में तो नहीं फंस गया, कहीं मुझे कंफ्यूज तो नहीं, संशय, हाँ, अंतराया आ जाते हैं, अलग अलग अंतराया स्टार्ट एंटरिंग। सो पतंजलि सेज दैट अभ्यास प्लीज ऑलरेडी बी प्रिपेयर्ड। अभ्यास तो श्रद्धा से आपने शुरू कर दिया, उस अभ्यास को दीर्घकाल करना पड़ेगा। कब तक करना पड़ेगा? आखिरी सांस में भी हो सकता है, करते चलो, रुकना नहीं। हतोत्साही नहीं होना है, निरुत्साही नहीं होना है, दीर्घकाल मान के चलना है। बिकॉज व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग फॉर इज द होल यूनिवर्स। आईएएस के लिए लोग 10-10 अटेम्प्ट लेते हैं यार, तुम एक अटेम्प्ट में फेल हो रहे हो। तो दीर्घकाल। उसके बाद में दूसरा सुनो, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, उसमें निरंतरता चाहिए। दीर्घकाल तो आप कर रहे हो, लेकिन आपका ऐसा है 1 2 3 टक 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 टक, फिर 1 2 3 टक। तो ऐसा ऊपर नीचे, ऐसा एक्टोपिक बीट्स के जैसे साधना मत करो। तो वैसा करने से नहीं जमेगा। फिर आप बोलते हो मैं 10 साल से कर रहा हूं, लेकिन 10 साल में निरंतरता नहीं है। आप 2 दिन करते हो, तीसरे दिन नहीं करते हो, चौथे दिन करते हो, फिर 5 दिन नहीं करते हो, फिर चालू करते हो। तो उसमें दीर्घकाल तो हो गया, पर निरंतरता नहीं है। तो पतंजलि इज वेरी क्लियर, दीर्घकाल भी करना पड़ेगा और निरंतरता भी उसके अंदर होनी चाहिए। फिर तीसरा, वो करने से जो दीर्घकाल और निरंतर करने लगता है ना, उसको तीसरा प्रॉब्लम आ जाता है, उसको अपनी साधना का अहंकार होने लगता है। ये सब सोते रहते, मैं 4 बजे उठ के करता हूँ, 10 साल से कर रहा हूँ, एक दिन भी गैप नहीं दिया। फिर पतंजलि बोलते हैं सत्कारा से भी, तो लॉट ऑफ हम्बलनेस, दैट यू आर डूइंग साधना नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ योर पुरुषार्था, इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द ग्रेस ऑफ द गॉड। तो हम्बलनेस, ये 3 चीजें हुई, दीर्घकाल हुआ, निरंतर हुआ, और हम्बलनेस रही, तब दृढ़ भूमि बन जाएगी उसकी। दृढ़ भूमि मतलब गोल पे पहुंचने का कंक्रीट रास्ता तैयार हो गया। धीरे 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 हम वो रास्ता ढूंढ लेंगे जिसका रास्ता किसी को भी नहीं पता है। तो जपा कैन बी ए यूजफुल टूल फॉर डूइंग अभ्यासा, एंड देन with this abhyasa simultaneously, see my dear friends, abhyas vairagyabhyam, patanjali doesn't even give a gap between these two words. अभ्यास वैराग्य को एक ही वर्ड बना के बोला है। इसका मतलब क्या है? ऐसे लोग बहुत है जो अभ्यास करते हैं, हाँ, निरंतर करते हैं, हम्बल है, लेकिन उस अभ्यास के साथ वैराग्य नहीं है। सुबह उठ के जप करता है, रात में मास्टरबेट करके सोता है, हाँ? तो फिर यार वो तुम पूरा सुबह का कमा रहे हो, रात में खाली कर रहे हो, फिर कमा रहे हो, फिर खाली कर रहे हो, तो क्या फायदा हो गया तुमको? सो दृष्टा अनुश्रविक विषय वितृष्णस्य वशीकार संज्ञा वैराग्यम। जो whatever you have seen, whatever you have heard, that vritti within you, कि this is all ephemeral, temporary, from janmanu janma I have been experiencing this, ये भोग तो चल ही रहे हैं, all the animals are going through this bhogas, it is not something very unique or special, and this I have been doing for many many janmas. आई हैव टू नाउ शिफ्ट इनटू अनदर डोमेन। मुझे चित्त वृत्तियों से बाहर आना है। अगर मैं भोग में मेरी वृत्ति रहेगी तो वही वृत्ति रिपीट करेगी ना यार। तुमको चित्त वृत्ति का निरोध करना है। निरोध क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? क्योंकि हम जो कर्म कर रहे हैं उस समय हमारी आसक्ति है उन कर्मों में। कर्मों में अगर आसक्ति है तो आसक्ति से कर्म करने से उसके संस्कार स्ट्रांग बनते हैं। उसके स्ट्रांग संस्कार बनने से वो वृत्ति बार बार रिपीट होती है, और वृत्ति रिपीट होती रहेगी तो चित्त वृत्ति का निरोध कैसे होगा? Very simple thing, no? See, I want to reach the other side of the table. I am doing prayasa, abhyasa to go there. But my leg is tied to this wall. Will I ever go there? No matter how much abhyasa I do. तो ये जो वैराग्य है ना, ये उस रस्सी को छोड़ना है। There is a story of three thieves, they got what they wanted and they wanted to run. So रात में अंधेरा था, अंधेरे में वो बैठे नाव में और भागे, तो उनको वो मिल गया उसमें वो चलाने के लिए। तो फास्ट, तो उन्होंने बोला कि इतना फास्ट भागेंगे कि राजा के मंत्री पकड़ने नहीं चाहिए, पूरी ताकत से इसको लगाओ। मतलब उन्होंने रात में 12 बजे से शुरू किया तो जब तक सूर्योदय नहीं हुआ मॉर्निंग का तब तक चलाते ही रहे। बहुत एकदम अमावस्या थी, गुप्त अंधेरा, चला दिया। फिर थक के रुके, आंखें खुली तो सामने वो राजा के सिपाही खड़े। फिर वो भाई उसमें से एक बोलता है, अरे तूने उसको एंकर को तो निकाला ही नहीं नाव के, वो तो वहीं चप्पू पूरा रात, पूरी रात तुम सारे छप्पू उधर ही मारते रह गए, वो नाव का हुक तो वहीं फंसा रह गया। तो जब तक वैराग्य नहीं आता ना, ये हुक उधर ही फंसा रहता है, और वो साधक दुनिया भर का अभ्यास कर करके उसको लगता है पता नहीं मैं कहाँ पहुंच रहा हूँ, वहीं का वहीं रहता है वो। सो वशीकार संज्ञा, इसको सी द अनदर नेम फॉर वैराग्य दे हैव कॉल्ड इट एज वशीकार। जितेंद्रिय बनना, अपनी इंद्रियों को अपने वश में करना। सो दिस हैज बीन गिवन द सेम एम्फेसिस एज अभ्यास। आपका अभ्यास और आपके ओल्ड पैटर्न एक साथ नहीं चल सकते। स्लोली स्लोली, आई एम नॉट टेलिंग इन वन डे यू विल कंप्लीटली चेंज, बट यू शुड एटलीस्ट बी अवेयर कि इसको छोड़ना है यार। इसको साथ में लेकर के मैं, इन हैबिट्स के साथ में लेकर के मैं ज्यादा दूर नहीं जा पाऊंगा। जीवन खत्म हो रहा है, अगला जन्म पशु योनि का आपका वेट कर रहा है। क्योंकि अभी जो स्थिति है पक्का 100% सारे पशु है हम लोग, इंसान का जन्म फिर नहीं मिलने वाला है ना। तो वो आपका वेट कर रहा है। तो इसलिए हमारी वृत्तियां ही वैसी है। योर वृत्तिज विल टेल यू लास्ट मोमेंट में द मोस्ट इंटेंस वृत्ति ऑफ सम भोगा विल कम, एंड दैट वृत्ति ऑलरेडी देयर इज लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन फ्रॉम अदर पशुज टू कम इनटू ह्यूमन। तो बहुत रेस है बहुत इसमें। तो क्या है कि इसको बहुत सीरियसली लो, ये बहुत कॉम्पिटिटिव है ये ह्यूमन बर्थ। आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है वो, पर वो है। क्योंकि मेंटल कंटेंट है ना, मेंटल कंटेंट जो है आप किसी भी इंद्रिय से करो वो अल्टीमेटली माइंड में जाके इमेज या साउंड ही बनेगा। चित्तवृत्ति की। सो पतंजलि टेल्स ऑफ दिस फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ वैराग्य इज, आप अपने आप को समझाओ, अरे ये भोग मैंने बहुत जन्मों में भोगे हैं, ऐसे ही भोगे हैं, कितना भोगना है और। तो वो दृष्टा अनुश्रविक वितृष्ण से, ये सुपरफिशियल अपरा वैराग्य है। परा वैराग्य ही सेज विल कम ओनली व्हेन तत्परम पुरुष ख्याते, व्हेन वन स्टार्ट्स गेटिंग ग्लिम्स ऑफ द गोल। धीरे धीरे उसको, भाई चलो हुक भी ढीला कर दिया, नाव आगे भी जा रही है, अभ्यास भी रेगुलर हो रहा है, तो कभी ना कभी नाव डेस्टिनेशन के पास तो पहुंचेगी ना। और डेस्टिनेशन से पहुंचने से बहुत पहले ही डेस्टिनेशन की खबर आने लगती है, वहां की ठंडी हवा आने लगती है। नो, यू गेट द फ्रेग्रेंस ऑफ द एयर ऑफ वेयर यू आर रीचिंग। व्हेन यू रीच योर होम टाउन, बिफोर यू रीच योर होम टाउन ओनली यू गेट फील, नो आई एम रीचिंग माई होम टाउन। अभी तक घर में गए नहीं, लेकिन पता है, खुशी होने लगती है, पहुंचने वाले हैं अपने घर। तो वो जब आने लगता है, तब वैराग्य और बढ़ जाता है और स्ट्रांग हो जाता है। फिर तो वो रस्सी को, अरे हटा, दिखने लगा, अब तो दिखने लगा, अब कहाँ। हम्म। सो दिस इज परा वैराग्य। हम्म। तो पतंजलि टॉक्स ऑफ Abhyasa and Vairagya as the tool for Tan Nirodha, and then he tells when you reach, what are the phenomena that happen and how it reveals slowly, how the goal reveals itself in the different types of samadhis, which we will discuss in the next class. Any question anybody has? Yes, please.
Thinking about
You only have to tell me. Tell. Thinking about future, madam. Which vritti? Vikalpa. Yeah, why there is a doubt? Because no other vritti is coming under that category. No, smriti is definitely of past. Nidra to void ही है. Viparyaya is about a real object, but wrong impression. Correct? So it can be viparyaya also. If you are thinking about the future about a real object, then whatever you think may come true, may not come true. So it can be anumana pramana also. It can be anumana pramana also, no? Yeah, but that doesn't exist at that particular time. उस समय एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है, तो वो फिर विकल्प में ही जाएगा, क्योंकि आप जिस ऑब्जेक्ट के बारे में सोच रहे हो वो उस मोमेंट में है ही नहीं ना। वो विपर्यय के लिए भी नहीं है और विकल्पा के लिए भी नहीं है। सी, पतंजलि क्षण क्रमिक करके बोलता है, दिस फोन नाउ, आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट दिस फोन नाउ, देन इट इज प्रमाण। आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट दिस फोन 10 days later, then that is प्रमाण और विपर्यय और विकल्पा। Thinking of this phone after 10 days, not repeating what I have experienced in the past. मैं इस फोन के बारे में 10 दिन के बाद सोच रहा हूं कि मैं इस फोन को लेकर के बात कर रहा हूं, इस फोन के बारे में सोच रहा हूं। विपर्यय और विकल्पा, it is not viparyaya because the phone that I am thinking 10 days later doesn't exist now. Every moment ये चेंज हो रहा है यार। 10 दिन के बाद ये फोन नहीं रहेगा, वो उसके मॉलिक्यूल अलग होंगे। What is in this moment, in future it is not the same. So that future phone doesn't exist now. So all imagination go in vikalpa.
nothing exists now, like everything is changing from point
इस मोमेंट नहीं, देखो, जिस क्षण में सोचते हो उस क्षण में एग्जिस्ट करता है ना, क्षण क्रमिक है। आपने आपने जिस क्षण में सोचा कि भाई मेरे को, अभी आप यहाँ पे बैठे हो, आप मेरे बारे में सोच रहे हो, सर इज सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, आई एम देयर इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू। सो क्षण क्षण में मैं भी चेंज हो रहा हूँ, तुम भी चेंज हो रहे हो। दोनों गाड़ियां अगर एक स्पीड से चल रही है तो दोनों एक दूसरे को परसीव करती जाती है ना हमेशा, ऐसा है। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
like these words and form, they come together. Like words create form or form create the words. Like you said, words and form are
वेरी
connected.
ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन. हमारा आशीष बहुत बड़ा साइंटिस्ट है. वर्ड क्रिएट द फॉर्म और फॉर्म क्रिएट्स द वर्ड्स.
Or they
Nice
exist
verse.
together. Like we are saying what is
Nice verse.
reality, like what is not connected. Then that's Shabda Jnana, but it's word. Even though if you know form, if you don't give any name to it, how can you bring it to your mind?
His question is about creation. He is telling whether the word created the form or form created the word.
Right. They both are like-
And
Is it the head first or the end first?
See, there was 20 years ago, there was no phone. Just imagining that you can talk to somebody who is there in US sitting here was a miracle. Correct? Correct? But now the phone exists. Phone exists as a form. Now you see the journey from the time when nobody could believe that such thing is possible. Then now phone exists. So this phone first came as an idea in somebody's mind. एक आइडिया बन के आया ना, उस आइडिया में उसने पहले उसको नाम दिया, नाम का धीरे धीरे उसने फॉर्म बनाया और फॉर्म को उसने मैनिफेस्ट किया. एवरीथिंग फर्स्ट कम्स एज
Form came in his mind, right, sir? First. Then he made it into a sound.
but then that time sir, it's a vikalpa. Because that time it's not existing.
उस मोमेंट में. हाँ, उस इट इज ए क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग ऑफ वॉट एवर ही नोज ही स्टार्टेड अप्लाइंग इन दैट मोमेंट. फॉर द पीपल इन दैट टाइम इट वॉज ए विकल्प.
Because that like what we don't see and hear we can't think. That's a permutational combination. So हमने तो phone देखा नहीं that time before that. Then how we created it?
It is, this phone is also not created by elements outside the universe, no. जो भी है यहीं का ले लेके घूमता जा रहा है ना, कुछ नया तो नहीं ला रहे हो आप. पहले बल्ब आया, फिर बल्ब का जो इंफॉर्मेशन था उसको धीरे धीरे करके उसने टेलीग्राम में जोड़ा, फिर उसको उसमें जोड़ा, फिर उसको उसमें जोड़ा. जो पता था उसी को धीरे 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 वो बढ़ाता चला गया ना. जो पता होता है उसी को नए नए कॉम्बिनेशन में बता के कुछ नया पता चलता है, फिर उसी को नए कॉम्बिनेशन में बता के कुछ और नया पता चलता है. लेकिन अल्टीमेटली जो पता चलता है उसी पे सब बनता जाता है. ओके.
And
How Pratyaksha Brahma.
Why not? In Swapna, there is a tiger in front of me. I am shivering with fear of death. Why not? Your heartbeat will go up. Your indriyas are perceiving that also, no?
Water.
See, all the 5 sense organs have 5 tanmatras. Those tanmatras go in Swapna and do the same job as they are doing with the physical body. It is just one physical aspect of it is gone, but it is connected to the same manas and does all the activities. But just that you have a Swapna Sharira. But other software behind it is exactly same, just the hardware changes. It is a physical hardware, that is a subtle hardware. But the software behind that is same. So you are in pramana. When you are seeing that somebody is killing you, you are running.
This ice, water.
Their tanmatras connect to the body in the dream. ये वायर यहाँ से हटा के वो सॉफ्टवेयर में लगा दिया, वो वायर वही है ना.
Ice in Yeah, the Rupa is the Tanma. Nose is Indriya.
See, each indriya has a subtle aspect to it to perceive the gunas. No? So I perceives the rupa, tanmatra, correct? So physical eye, when it is perceiving a rupa, it is perceiving because the manas is connecting to the eye and performing the act of seeing. Correct? Now the same manas can perceive the tanmatra of rupa when you close your eyes also. Correct? No? Same thing it does in dream. See, the whole point of Patanjali's definition of pramana is that the content of the mind is directed to the reality of that moment. So you have fear because you are perceiving a tiger in the dream, which in that moment is real to you. Once you come out of dream, only you know that you were dreaming, right? Within the dream, dream is a reality. In dream also you can have false perception. मैंने गलत सोच लिया, ये वो कॉम्बिनेशन होता है. Hmm. Hmm. Sound comes first or form comes first? Hmm? So everybody please think about it and read some texts. Hmm? What do texts say? What does Islam say? Nothing like that. Because before God there was word of God is written in Jesus, in the Bible. Before God there was word. Word was first. शब्द शब्द ब्रह्म भी बोला जाता है. तो ऐसे these are aptavakyas, but whether we can apply any logic, we can see.
Like physics point of view, sir, form come first. Like the speed of sound and light से देखिए, light is faster than sound, 330 meters per second, and
See, there is that is physical.
yeah.
But there is a mental sound, which doesn't require air to travel.
And the form can be even mental.
Mental form is also there and mental sound is also there. तो ये जो मेटाफिजिकल डोमेन्स है ना, इसमें उस डोमेन पे बात किया जाता है, तो वहां पे क्या पहले आया ये बात. It is one thing is very clear that before the object manifests, it becomes an idea in the mind. पहले वो माइंड में चित्त में आता है, बाद में वो रियली वो बाहर मैनिफेस्ट होता है. तो जब वो चित्त में आता है तो पहले साउंड आया या पहले इमेज आया?
Like in one situation, sound in one
Or they are one?
It's also written like by definition.
Shabda first. See, why this discussion is important is because there is a big group of sadhakas, philosophers who believe that just the nama can reveal form in the mental realm. In fact, there has been philosophies which say that nama is more powerful than rupa also. राम नाम जो है वो राम से भी ज्यादा पावरफुल है. ऐसे फिलोसॉफी जब आती है तो हमें नाम के ऊपर बहुत सोचना पड़ता है. थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ